Queerness is about being amazing.
Queerness is living the life that you want to live.
Queer is overcoming struggle and shining. Brilliance. Queer is brilliance.
C'est un mot qui est assez large pour être inclusif et assez spécifique pour qu'on sache de quoi on parle.
Queer is such a powerful word, I feel. It's something that I was super afraid of when I was younger.
Queer, c'est plus qu'une communauté, c'est plus qu'une identité, c'est une façon d'accepter l'autre, c'est le partage de l'amour.
C'est des gens qui décident de s'associer à des valeurs de titre diversité et inclusion.
Being queer has a political aspect where you need to push for space for yourself. You need to push for your rights.
It's a label that we can adopt as a community that is all inclusive and that really encompasses everybody that is different outside the box, that feels different, that acts different, that loves different.
I like being with other people that is, yeah, maybe like myself, but also different. And that's cool. It's okay.
Queerness for me means just being who you are. It's really just about expressing yourself and your true identity, just being yourself.
Queer is one of the really important identities that I have for myself.
When you're queer and you're your true self, you are amazing. And that's what queerness means to me, being yourself.
Wow, I still get goosebumps every time I watch that video. I love it so much. Bonjour mes très chers cuties, c'est un grand honneur et plaisir d'être ici devant vous, même de chez nous, vous voyez chez moi à la maison ici. Dans ce monde virtuel, merci d'avoir répondu à notre invitation. Welcome cuties and welcome to the QueerTech Qareers Virtual Fair. My name is Naoufel and I'm the co-founder and president at QueerTech. And before I start today and walk you through a quick introduction and talk about the agenda for this afternoon, I would like to give a special thank you to a group of people without them, this event would not be possible. And I want to start with one amazing person, my co-founder, Andy Saldana. Not only spent so many hours putting this thing together, but also his dedication to improve this community and help this community is amazing. I also want to thank our volunteers for all the hours that they've spent putting this event together. So I want to thank our partners and vendors and freelancers. It truly takes a community to organize an event like this. So welcome, cuties, and welcome to the QueerTech Qareers Fair. So, you know, when I think about this event, I think about community. And, you know, for me, as a community, it's very important that we come together. And when we come together, amazing things like today happen. Today, we are here as a one community, the QueerTech community. Notre vision est que notre communauté existe dans un monde où chaque être humain a des droits égaux et un accès égal aux opportunités qu'il désire. Il y a encore un long chemin à parcourir pour atteindre cet objectif, mais des événements comme celui d'aujourd'hui ont un impact sur l'écart entre cette vision et notre réalité. Je crois que nous pensons que l'un des moyens de créer cette réalité pour la communauté LGBTQ2+, et l'industrie de technologie. It is our vision that this community exists in a world where every human has equal right and equal access to the opportunities they desire. There is still a long way to go to achieve this goal, but events like this today are making an impact in closing the gaps between the vision and our reality. I believe, and we believe at QueerTech, that one path to create this reality for the LGBTQ2S+ community is through tech and the tech industry. According to a report published by CompTIA, net tech employment in Canada increased by nearly 60,000 positions in 2019. And now that's a total of an estimation of 1.72 million workers across Canada. Salaries in the tech industry continue to be strong, outpacing the average Canadian salary by some 52%, with the median annual wage for a technology worker in Canada at 76,471 Canadian dollars. And that's why we're here today, to help you, to help our community have access to these opportunities. Selon un rapport publié par Campia, l'emploi net dans la technologie au Canada a augmenté de près de 60 000 postes en 2019 pour un total estimé à 1,72 million de travailleurs. Les salaires dans l'industrie de la technologie continuent d'être élevés, dépassant de quelques 52% le salaire moyen au Canada. Le salaire annuel médian d'un travailleur de la technologie au Canada s'établissant à 76 471 $ canadiens. Et c'est pour ça que nous sommes ici aujourd'hui, pour vous aider, notre communauté, à avoir accès à des opportunités. You know, QueerTech's mission is all about queering the tech ecosystem, and we want to do that by breaking down the barriers that queer people are facing so they can get onto tech, advance their career in tech. And we want to also see LGBTQ2S+ people launching more and more tech businesses. We want to continue creating spaces for our community to connect, and we are looking to launch more and more programs to support and empower our community to thrive in tech. Nous avons vu notre communauté passer de quelques personnes à Montréal à des milliers d'individus et d'entreprises à travers le Canada. Chaque jour, nous voyons de plus en plus de personnes queer travaillent fort pour réussir leur carrière et nous voyons des entreprises technologiques s'engagent à créer des équipes diversifiées, à créer un environnement inclusif et à développer un espace où chacun se sentira lui-même. We have seen our community grow from few people in Montreal to thousands and thousands of individuals and companies across Canada. Every day, we see more and more queer people striving towards success, and we see tech companies making the commitment to build diverse teams, create inclusive environment, and build a space where everyone feels they belong. C'est tellement bon de voir autant de visages familiers. Merci pour votre soutien à QueerTech et à notre communauté. J'en vois aussi beaucoup de nouveaux gens qui se sont inscrits avec nous pour cet événement. Je vous souhaite la bienvenue chez QueerTech, votre communauté. It's always so good to see so many familiar faces, and thank you for everyone who's been supporting QueerTech and showing up for these events. And I want to also thank all the new people who joined our community. Welcome to QueerTech, your community. And I would like to begin by acknowledging that QueerTech is located on the unceded Indigenous lands, Testaouni, Montreal. The Kenyan Kenahe Nation is recognized as the custodians of the lands and the waters on which we gather here today. And during this introduction, I would like to also thank a special group of people and organizations who trusted QueerTech. Thank you to our corporate partners for joining us today. And I want to thank a special thank you to Unity Technologies. We've been partners with Unity since 2019. And one of the reasons I loved working with Anna and Paul and the Unity team is that they understand the word community. And that's really important to us because we share a common vision, attitude, and goals. And today, our goal is to elevate all queer people. So we can only do that if individuals, corporations, nonprofits, and the government come together. Together, we can all rise and we can all contribute to close the economic and social gap. And this is what this event is about today, to elevate our LGBTQ2S+ community, to elevate you. I also want to thank our gold sponsors today because they've put in a lot of effort and resources to support this event. Well, Simple, I admire their dedication to create an inclusive and product and company. I'm also a user of World Simple. They've got all my money, so I need to be nice to them. RBC. So I get to meet and learn a lot about RBC. It's a brand known to so many Canadians, if not all Canadians. And, I get to connect with amazing people and learn about all the amazing work they do for our community. And, I also love RBC because they also got my money. I love using companies that also trust us and join our community. Sage is a new partner that joined us this year as an annual partner, and been really amazing working with them. We started our conversation last year with Charmina and Tanya, and I just knew we will be great. We will do great things together. They have an amazing sense of community, but also a sense of give first. They've been there all along to support, encourage, and we really appreciate that. Last but not least, we'd like to thank Accenture. I have been in conversation with Accenture on and off for a while, and I love that we wanted to wait for the right opportunity to partner together. And I know that they are here for the long run. I'm also very excited to have our silver and bronze partners with us today. These are companies that are personally very excited to have on board. Their dedication and effort to join our community is outstanding. I also want to thank our community partners and our community for, and the community as a whole for the amazing work they've done to spread the news across the different social media platforms. Thank you. We're very excited to introduce them to all of you, our cuties, today. So, merci d'être là. Vous êtes là parce que vous débutez votre carrière ou parce que vous voulez changer d'industrie ou parce que vous voulez progresser votre carrière dans le secteur des technologies. Nous sommes là pour vous soutenir. Nous vous voyons nous vous voyons pour ce que vous êtes. Et les entreprises qui sont ici aujourd'hui croient et apprécient la diversité des perspectives, des opinions et des expériences que vous portez à leurs produits et à leurs entreprises. Aujourd'hui, tout tourne autour de vous. So thank you for being here. Whether you're just starting your career, moving into a new career, or advancing within the tech industry, we're here to support you. We see you for who you are. These companies are here because they believe in you and the value that you bring. And the diversity of perspective you have, your opinions and experiences you will be bringing to them and to the product and their companies. Today, it's all about you, the participants. And we are creating a space for you to connect, and we don't want that to end. So we are really, really excited to announce the launch of the QueerTech job board today. Love the fireworks. Thank you, Andy. So we have 17 companies on there, and so many more are joining us. So we will continue to connect our community and employers across Canada. So for all you who are interested to register and browse the jobs, you can go to queertech.org/jobs, and companies who are interested, you can always reach out to us. Aujourd'hui, nous créons un espace pour vous connecter et nous ne voulons pas que ça se termine ici. Nous sommes ravis d'annoncer le lancement officiel de QueerTech Job Board. Nous avons 17 entreprises et nous continuons à connecter notre communauté et nos employeurs pour tous les participants qui sont inscrits aujourd'hui. Attendez une invitation avec le courriel avec lequel vous vous êtes inscrit. So, what to expect today? And I know everyone is excited to get started. So we have a full agenda. I'm already running a few minutes late, so I'm going to speed it up here. But we want to start with our keynote speaker, Viet Vu, and we'll follow it by a Q&A. It's going to be a very quick one. But we will then come back for a quick housekeeping announcement and then on to building connections. A little word about our speaker today. Viet is a senior economist at the Brookfield Institute for Innovation and Entrepreneurship at Ryerson University. He's interested in how government and companies can intentionally design policies and markets to drive human behavior. He's also active in the queer community, having been on the founding team on the largest legal framework regarding LGBTQ2+ in the world, Equaldex. Viet holds a Master of Science in Economics from London Schools of Economics and Political Science and a Bachelor of Arts in Economics with honor from University of British Columbia. So if you have any questions, you can always ask in the chat box and we'll pick two of them. And here goes for our keynote.
Hi, my name is Viet Vu, a senior economist at the Brookfield Institute for Innovation and Entrepreneurship. The Brookfield Institute for Innovation and Entrepreneurship, housed within Ryerson University, is a nonpartisan think tank that focuses on understanding trends and issues related to the innovation economy. And we are really excited to be one of the community partners for QueerTech. And I'm humbled and excited today to be able to chat with you as the speaker for QueerTech's annual job fair. I want to imagine yourself at a tech conference, watching a presentation by a company called Spectrum as they introduce a new product, being a company that focuses on creating technologies for GSD or gender and sexually diverse people. They introduce you to Agwe. Agwe is a cute person that you met at a coffee shop earlier that day. And you two had hit it off in a conversation, ultimately to find out that Agwe is also attending the same concert you are going to this weekend. You exchange numbers and agree to meet at the concert. And you wonder if Agwe could be romantically interested in someone of your gender. The company then introduces Gator, a revolutionary app that purports to be able to predict Agwe's sexual preferences just by submitting a photo of them. Any photo. It could be Agwe's LinkedIn profile, it could be their Twitter profile. And using state-of-the-art machine learning technology, the company claims that this product will be a revolutionary product for the GSD community. In my last year at university, at the University of British Columbia, I was searching for a place to live in Vancouver. I went and visited this one property, had a very nice conversation with a landlord, and the landlord ended up offering me the place the day after. In the phone conversation, though, he said, "Oh, there's one last question that we need to ask you. Are you gay?" Being a bi man, I truthfully answered, no, I wasn't. And it turns out that he was asking this because there was another tenant in that building that was not comfortable with having a queer person present, and that he had noticed some red flags, namely the fact that I mentioned that I had been at a pride parade in Vancouver earlier that day. Imagine what the landlord would be able to do had he had access to technology like Gator. In 2013, I came up to my parents, and the experience perhaps still scars me to this day. They threatened to disown me, and thankfully, I was in a financially independent position with an amazing support network around me. But imagine what would have happened if my parents had access to this technology and outed me before I was ready to do so. Is this technology real, or is it fiction? That's some of the thoughts that I want to approach in today's conversation about queer and trans tech workers in Canada. Now, the technology I just showed you is obviously not real, but the actual theory behind it may be real. In 2017, researchers published this paper that purported to use deep neural network to guess a person's sexual orientation just from their photo. Now, this research was conducted on faces of white men who showed up in dating profiles as being interested in men. So the algorithm would probably be very confused by someone at my face. But these technologies are purported to be created regardless of how well it actually works. Just 2 years ago, in Europe's one of the largest conferences in the world on machine learning, a paper was presented that again was claimed that just using someone's voice, they can reconstruct that person's face. There are obvious problems with this, including issues with misgendering someone just from the tone or deepness of their voice, to racially profiling someone for someone's accent. But the truth is, technologies about GSD people are being created every day in all industries. It could be as innocuous as a sign-up form that asks for someone's gender that may only offer binary choices between men and women. And just like that, some of these technologies can serve to hurt members of our community. We know, though, that more diverse teams are more likely to create more inclusive technologies. If there were queer people who have experienced those kinds of violence sitting in the product team when Spectrum was designing Gator, perhaps they would have raised a concern. They would have raised flags about how this technology could be misused, about how guessing someone's orientation from the way they look is ultimately reductive and maybe not actually valid after all. So it's worth asking, how many gender and sexually diverse, or GSD people, actually work in tech? Is the problem in the fact that there aren't enough of us who are working in the tech industry? It turns out that answering this question isn't simple, because Canada as a country does not have a consistent way to measure sexual orientation and gender identity. But through some assumptions, through whatever data that we have, it turns out that representation is not the biggest issue here. About 43,000 out of 1 million tech workers in Canada likely belong to the GSD community, which is about the number you would expect from the population distribution, where about 3 to 5% of the general population belonging to this community. The problem is somewhere different. In 2018, an organization in Canada conducted a survey of LGBTQ2 plus people in Canada, and what they found was harrowing. 41% of the survey respondents expressed concerns or questioned an organization's commitment to queer rights, even after they have done research on those companies. 22%, or 1 in 5, knew or felt that they were going to be discriminated just on the basis of how they look, on how they express their gender. Ultimately, these are not problems for the job seekers or the employees to solve. It is something that companies like yourselves who have graciously accepted to participate in today's job fair, who have really made this commitment to invest in equity, inclusion, and diversity at your workplaces, can actually do and address this issue. So what can you do? You could start by listening. And this may sound like a funny thing, but I don't mean in holding listening sessions and engaging conversations with your GSD employees, even though those are important as well. I mean plugging yourself into the discourse on this, because the moment you do, you'll realize that a lot of the things that the community is asking you to implement is not radical after all. It could be as simple as listing your commitment on LGBTQ plus community on job postings that you post online. It could also be as simple as indicating your pronouns during the interview process, just to signal the fact that, yes, we know that queer people exist and we want you to work here. It could be also as simple as coming up with a framework to deal with harassments and discriminations and bias at your workplaces, because ultimately, what many of us are asking for is for your companies to create an environment that allows queer people, that allows GSD people to showcase all of our talents in helping you create the best product as can be designed. And through this journey, we don't expect you to know everything. We know that some of these topics can be new to you. Then that's okay. But that's why diversity consultants, that's why equity consultants exist. That's why abundance of resources on the internet and others exist. Utilize it. Hire the diversity consultants. Pay them and remunerate them fairly. And don't just stop at inviting them for a single session on sensitivity training or implicit bias training. Actually invest in the work or allowing them to understand your organization and identify the places where change can be made. And we know as well that this process is likely not going to go perfectly, that mistakes are bound to be made. Be open about it. Be transparent about it. Don't lull yourself into thinking that these kinds of things don't happen here. Don't try to design the perfect processes, the perfect system that will weed out all forms of discrimination. You'd be surprised at how receptive many people in the community are to mistakes that are made in earnest. Mistakes that are made not because obvious flags from the community were ignored, but mistakes were made because you really did try to do the right thing. But it didn't happen to be that way. As long as you're transparent about it and commit to learning along this journey, you've already made a huge stride. And finally, don't obsess over metrics. Metrics can be important. Metrics can be useful. For example, in understanding pay disparity that might exist at your company, or in understanding representation issues that takes place in your organization. But obsessing over metrics means that you might miss some things you can't measure, important things. Because while some things are measurable, many things aren't. Today, you really have an exciting opportunity, because not only do you get to showcase your company to these talents, that you get to find some of the best talent in industry, it is also a chance for you to understand what the best talent in industry want from a work environment. Because ultimately, by creating an equitable work environment, you're allowing these queer employees, these GSD employees, to utilize their talent to the fullest in creating the best product as can be created that ultimately benefit you. And so ask questions, engage these your prospective employees earnestly, because we're all working towards one goal of making sure that the best talent ends up working for the best company. Thank you.
Viet, thank you for joining us, and thank you for the keynotes. Always amazing to connect and talk to you.
No, thank you for inviting me here. It was a privilege.
Wonderful, wonderful. You know, I watched actually, well, the perk of organizing this event is I saw this video multiple times before today, and there was I love the message, right? That you were communicating in there. And you know, I think a lot about so many tech companies still struggle with their diversity, right? And one of the things, you know, as we talk with a lot of our partners, is that they always try to go back to metrics, ROI, metrics, process. And, you know, I mean, to be honest, we don't see a lot of progress. You know, companies who have the metrics from big tech to small tech are still struggling with this. So, you know, you mentioned that, you know, the company shouldn't be bugged by too much metrics. But, you know, executives and leaderships are always, that's all they think about is how are we going to measure success? So can you elaborate more on how the company should approach their diversity strategy?
Yeah, it's a very good question. And that idea on not obsessing over metrics, right, is also because of the people involved in collecting such metrics. In the sense that if you imagine, let's say, how rare queer tech workers can be at a particular company, even at a company with, let's say, 50 employees, you may sometimes only have 1 or 2 queer employees, GSD employees who are working there. And so even if you conduct an anonymous survey, it's not rocket science to figure out who said what the moment they identify themselves as GSD. And so there's issues there, right? In that even though it's an anonymous survey, the employees know that they can't really be anonymous, which means that a lot of stuff that is being collected might not actually be reflective of what's going on at the organization. And the trick here, I think, is An organization that's friendly to GSD employees are also probably much more likely to be an inclusive organization, period, to racialized employees, to women, to many of those who have been discriminated in the past. And it doesn't obviously mean, right, is that by designing an organization to be gender equal will automatically mean that that organization will be GSD friendly, because those two issues have sort of really separate problems from time to time. Yeah. But as long as you're using that same principle in approaching and creating this kind of inclusive organization for one group, there's no reason really that you can't apply the exact same principles in creating inclusive organization overall, as opposed to sort of fixating on a couple of numbers that might not even be reflective of what you're trying to address.
Viet, thank you for joining us today. It's been amazing.
Thanks very much.
Thank you for joining us at the Qareers Virtual Fair. It was a huge success. We are already excited for the next one. To stay up to date with our programming, you can follow QueerTech on social media, QueerTech HQ, that's on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. You can also sign up for our newsletter on queertech.org. Until next time, thank you, cuties.
In Unity, you can do anything.
In Unity, I can choose who I want to be.
With Unity, I can have a small-sized team, but deliver on AAA quality.
It's pretty groundbreaking, let's just put it that way. Whether or not that's film, or games, construction, or automotive, this creative medium is available to everyone.
So, what's the real-time engine? In factual terms, it is a piece of software, but it's so much more than that.
Unity's real-time 3D is an environment built to build video games, but these other industries are getting on board.
What Unity provides is a way that people from different disciplines communicate. Designers and artists and coders collaborate on the design together.
Unity is the bridge. That's how I see it.
In game development, it solves a lot of problems so you don't have to.
It's not just an editor engine company. It's giving the developers the tools to get our games in front of as many people around the globe as possible and make something that's really, really successful.
What is unique about Unity is we want to help developers build long-term relationship with players and generate revenue. Our vision is building successful businesses for our creators.
Whether you're one person, an indie developer,
or you're part of a large team where you have 100 different peers working on one Unity game, you're all being powered by the same technology.
Giving you this extra boost, this extra leg up to make our lives easier, but also to make the game better.
Unity is drastically changing the automotive industry. Using Unity as a glue, we can cover the whole life cycle of production processes.
Design, ergonomics, safety.
Machine learning training. Hey, can we actually test how rain will look and the wipers performance? To add the moose in front of the car and see how it will react. And everything was super fast because we were running Unity from the back seats.
In the construction field, we use Unity for everything and then some.
With augmented reality, we can overlay the entire building in front of the developer. We can feel that space with this dynamic environment that we can walk through. Select your wood grain, oak versus cherry, add lighting.
Our team can update the site, the project, the model instantaneously.
We can change how buildings are built.
We built all the tools of cinematography, staging and blocking and lighting and performance, and we built them into virtual reality. There's nothing that could get in the way of the filmmaker's desire to just work in real time, to work from instinct.
Interactive animation has to be immediate for you to truly believe it's real. And that's why we've used Unity for that.
This is the moment.
This is the future of animation.
Architecture.
The automotive industry.
Game development.
The next great filmmaker is a child who has these tools in their hands.
Even if you're one person, if you've got a great idea, you now have the technology to realize that.
Creators are the pace setters, the dreamers, those with an imagination, and we are here to support them because we think the world's a fundamentally better place with more creators in it.